Are you ready to rock?
Let's do this.
All right. So my name is Jake, and I am a businessman. I'm from America, born and raised in Hawaii, and I've done a lot of different things in the Philippines. I've been doing business there since about 2015. Uh, my time there, I've hired over 100 virtual assistants. I have a pretty good idea of how things work on that side from being there. Spending so much time there. And then I have a really good idea of what clients are wanting because I initially got into it starting a 10-person team for one of my own businesses. So I have a pretty good idea of what clients are looking for. And there's kind of a disconnect between, what people are thinking that clients want and what they actually want and how to, go about making the clients happy and getting them to want to pay you. So we want to try and help people be able to keep their clients happy, be able to keep their jobs, not have any unnecessary economic hard times for making simple mistakes that could easily be avoided. So we're going to try and share as much information as we can to make sure that that kind of disconnect that exists narrows as much as possible to try and get everyone on the same page. So I got Elle here with me today. Elle's the operations manager of my office over in Cebu City, and she's a local Filipina there that has worked her way from the basically from the bottom to the top. So she also has an incredible amount of insight and is going to be able to help explain things that we touch on probably in ways that you're going to be able to understand more so than if it comes directly from me, because sometimes there's some communication, cultural barriers, different things like that. So she's going to help try and clear that stuff up as much as possible. And we're just going to try and drop as much value as we possibly can. This is completely free. And hopefully you're able to take this information and it's able to help you make some money. I think that it definitely will. Um, so we're going to cover three things. We're going to go over basically three main secrets and kind of the little sub pieces of each one of them that's going to help you be able to make more money as a virtual assistant and be able to have online jobs that do well for you. So the first thing, one of the main things that people struggle with is getting clients in the first place. So how can we go about making clients pick us versus everyone else? Because there's a lot of people that go through looking for jobs. Typically in our company, we're looking at about 200 applications plus for every person that we hire. So what's going to make you be the standout of 200 people? You know what I mean? It's not an easy thing. So we're going to go over that. And then the next thing that happens is sometimes you can get lucky and you can lie to a client or you can do whatever is going to get you a client and you're going to have trouble keeping that client. So
Sure.
it's all a big waste of time if you're not able to keep the client. And to tell you the truth, it's a terrible thing if you get accounts that you can't handle, because not only is it not good for you, is it going to bring bad reviews on anything that you have going on and your own personal credibility and brand, but also it just hurts everyone in the entire country and the brand of Filipino workers as a whole when people say that they're going to do stuff and they can't. There's definitely a feeling from some of the clients on this side that feel that people in the Philippines are shady and they're scammers, and that's not true. There's a small percentage that are, and I'm sure we all know some of them, and they really spoil it for everyone. So just make sure that you're you're using this information that we're giving you for good, and you're not just getting clients that you can't deal with and that you're not going to be able to actually do any good for. So let's just make sure that we have that, um, as a given for what we're doing. So how to keep clients, we're going to go over that. And then we're going to go over some of the stuff that a lot of people get really confused on. We're going to go over how to deal with some of the paperwork, what the clients are looking for, some stuff that you should know about. And yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to cover in today's session. And there will be plenty more information if you stick around to the end. There's going to be a lot more information that will be available at that time. And we're just trying to get this out to you as much as we can. So you ready to get started, Al?
Yeah.
do this. So, what do you think about how to make clients pick you?
Well, there's a lot of factors for a client to pick a VA. Mostly for like aspiring VAs, especially for those who doesn't have any background or idea about virtual assistant or home-based jobs. They would thought that it's like the same as the call center. As long as you speak in English, then that's it. But really, it's not. Details matters. Simple as being able to navigate really good in your computer, like control A, control V, that's a big impact. So clients really wants to have a VA who knows what they're doing, in a sense that office processes. Simple as like replying within the 1 minute. So like in our office for trouble-free employees, we have this 1 minute policy. So the moment that your client sends you a message, within 1 minute, you need to reply. The reason behind it, it's for the client to know that you're there. You're not sleeping, or you're not sleeping or making a sandwich. So these simple and I mean these basic things, some of the, not trying to paint home-based workers bad, but I would say this is a pride that we have here in Trouble Free Employees, because we're always on task, or whatever, whether there's a task or no task, but we always want to be productive. So um, we initiate tasks, or we like look for tasks so that we can have higher productivity. At the end of the shift, we get better reports, and then at the same time, our clients would have would feel the value for their money. So simple as replying within 1 minute after your client messages you. That's a big impact. Some, they don't really see it, but to clients, they would be like, why is she or why is he like replying like after 5 minutes, or taking an hour to reply? So that alone is not a good impression.
Yeah, that's definitely, and I mean that's touching on some of the other stuff which we'll get into a little bit later with how to keep clients. But the initial first impressions, when we're looking to get clients, those are huge. So I want to talk about some of those things, because there's some things where I swear if I had a peso for every time I saw these different things happen, I would be a millionaire, because it's like it just happens all the time. And it these are basically things that you can do like it to instantly get your application thrown into the trash can. So we're just going to go over like some of those basics first, and then we're going to get deep into the retention of clients and the detail that they're expecting on that end too, because that's definitely extremely important. But some of the first things that you need to make sure of is some basic fundamental stuff. Okay. So when we're applying for a job where the client is expecting that we have a good grasp of English, that we're able to write well, and we're able to speak well, um, we want to make sure that the first communication that we give them doesn't have any typos in it, has proper use of punctuation, um, has capital letters at the beginning of the sentences. Any of that stuff in the beginning, like if you can't even get it together for the first thing that you've spent who knows how long, there's no amount of time that is like a time limit for the first communication to a client. You could have worked on it for a week before you sent it and it has a typo. They're like, that's definitely not going to work, because if you can't even get it together for that, there's no way that you're going to get it together for just basic stuff. This is going to be a problem the whole way through.
Yes,
So
so the positioning for your commas and your periods really matters.
it really, really does. It really, really does. And there's kind of on that topic, there's different variations of English. Okay. In Hawaii, where I'm from, we have a dialect of English that is really similar to the kind of local dialect that you're going to find in Cebu or other places in the Philippines. About 30% of the people here on Maui, where I'm from, are from the Philippines. So it's a similar variation to English. It's very, very different from what people speak on the mainland, California, New York. anything like that. They speak a completely different way. And it is so different, in fact, that people from there have a hard time communicating with people that are here from Hawaii. So there's 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 English, which is like what we can get away with speaking with each other. I can speak kind of the local English in the Philippines very well and understand it really easily, and it's not a problem for me. But for a lot of the clients, they have no idea what you're talking about because it's just like we're talking in acronyms, we're talking without some proper punctuation and some different kind of words that are tying things together. Um, it's fun to talk like that. It's kind of like a slang, and like, you kind of are like part of the club for knowing how to talk like that, but the client's not part of that club. And whatever club the client's in, that's the slang, and that's the kind of English that we want to be using. So we need to make sure that we can meet them in the middle with proper English, which is going to be a lot more closer to what they're using and what they're used to using. So we want to make sure that it's not just English, it's real English, legit English, American English, whatever you want to call it. And no acronyms, proper writing, not the sort of thing that you would like text message your friend, not that kind of style, right? Like the sort of thing that you would write a formal letter to a judge or something, you know, like
It's
about as
like
formal as you can think of.
it's like an efficient and effective communication, like like, yes, you're right, thank you for like setting an example for like the locals in Hawaii, and then the same somewhat similar English here in Cebu. So having English as a second language, yes, that's true. um, we try as much as we can to imitate, or like remove those regional accent, and try to have or speak in complete like English sentence structure. However, not all VAs are the same. So it's always best, just like what you said, meet the client halfway. So simple as um, not using jargons or like words that's like only us knows. For example, for medical accounts, um, for the scripts or the prescriptions, we have a different term for that in here. So simple words like that or terminologies, it's a big impact. It helps if the VA would be like more knowledgeable and meeting halfway too. So like if you got a good pickup on your clients use of terminologies, that helps a lot.
Hmm. And be careful with acronyms. We love acronyms. We have a common one that we have in our company. We have EOD reports, and that stands for end of day reports. So it's an acronym that we throw around in our office. We all know exactly what that is, but sometimes I'll hear that being said to clients like that, and unless it's clearly explained to them, they have no idea what an EOD report is. So
That's true.
just make sure that if you are using any sort of special jargon or terminology, clearly explain what that is, because the client might not ask, and that's just lost communication, and that's not a good thing. So you
So
want to
point
make
is
sure
we
that all
yes,
of it's being sent and received, and there's no lost stuff in there. If the
yeah,
client just kind of looks at you and they're kind of just like smiling and nodding, they might not have any idea what they're saying. And really, what they're thinking is they're not even listening to you anymore. They're thinking, I might need to get another VA. I don't think this one's
yes,
working out. And they're
that's
already
true.
thinking like 3 steps down the line about how they're going to get another one, and they're going to fire you like in a week and transition to somebody else. So just like be careful, be careful.
It's
Um,
all it's speaking of communication, it also helps a lot when we always acknowledge the issue or whatever the concern of our client is. We don't just say yes or okay, but always acknowledge or even empathize. Like when they sound or when they write, like sounds like they frustrated. So simple as that. You acknowledge it. That helps a lot on the client side.
yeah. So I want to get to talking about keeping the clients, because that's really a huge thing. But there's one more thing that I want to touch on. Just make sure that we hit pretty thoroughly before we get to that point. And I'd say that this is the number one secret and the easiest thing to do to make sure that you get a client in the first place. Okay. So a lot of what happens is you're going to find somebody um, out there on the internet, on a job listing site, on Facebook group, on somewhere, right? They're going to look at you and you're going to make an offer to them to work for, whatever position they have. And they're going to be like, okay, they're going to look at your
Profiles.
resume first, and then whatever information they have there, they're gonna Google you. Okay. And like, unless you have a really good personal website or something like that, or even if you do, you probably use social media. And we have fun with it, especially in the Philippines. Facebook is drama book. Like, I didn't even know that people could block people on Facebook until I came to the Philippines. Like, it's just juiced in a different way, and it's like people really, really get a kick out of it. So you got to realize what's public and what's not. And like, people in America don't really typically use Facebook like that. And the people that do are like not respected. Okay. Like, the drama on Facebook thing is not cool. And the other thing about it is there might be just things that are on there that might not be putting the best foot forward for you. So the thing that you just need to watch out for is what information is available publicly. You can use Facebook, you can do whatever you want on it. Just make sure that you have the right privacy settings. And every now and then you go and you click the button that says view as visitor or whatever it is, and you see what it's like publicly, um, when a client clicks on you, to see what it says. Okay. You want to have a couple things there that are visible, that are public, and you want to select them, to make it look like you're really well put together, not a sloppy person, that you have access to a work environment that is going to be conducive to being focused. Anything that you show is free of clutter as possible, and you just want things to look good. You want to be putting your best foot forward. um, you don't want to have like that picture that your cousin tagged you in when you're all hammered with the bottle of Red Horse and the Lechon whatever, and you're just getting down at uncle's birthday party 2 years ago, and that's what they're seeing. Like, it's all good to have fun. There's no problem with that. But it's business. You know what I mean? So like, they'll get to the point where if you work with them and you're good with them, like, they're gonna understand that you're a person and you have fun on the weekends or whatever. But that's not the first impression that you want to be putting out there.
True. That's
So like,
true.
have things that look good, that look well put together, and when you do get those things, put them as public. So you do have, some presentable posts that are up there. And the most ideal thing you could have is, let's say you post something every day on your Facebook, okay? And you didn't ever put anything as public. It would be really apparent that everything was hidden, right? Because if someone went to go look, there's no post there. And then you probably post more than never, right? If you had even one public post every 2 weeks or so, the client might look at it and they might be like, I think this person just doesn't post that much, which is fine. Like, there's no reason why you should be posting on Facebook every day. They're hopefully too busy to do that because they're a productive person that's not wasting time on Facebook. And this is all their stuff. Like, they're not hiding anything. Little do they know that you post 10 times a day, and this is like, one of the 100 posts that you put up, and like all the
Yep.
drama book stuff is hidden. But like, it totally won't look like that. That is the absolute best thing that you could do if you're trying to put the best foot forward, is make it look like it's totally legit and it's getting action, it's getting posted on, and you just have everything set to public. If you can do that, I'd say that's the winner. So just be real careful when people are
Yeah.
googling you.
That's true.
that'll just instantly get you thrown in the trash. So
Just to add more of what you said, Jake, it's like from a local side. So it's like different country, different nation, different culture. So from a Filipino point of view, it's like, nah, that doesn't really matter. But if you're someone who wants to venture in the virtual assistant business, or like have the luxury to afford working from home, so you need to market you need to market yourself in a way that um, you want to present yourself as the credible person or the credible VA that a client wants to keep. So you don't want to start an account wherein it will just last for a day or a week. That's really tedious. So I suggest it's like you're not really trying to pretend to be someone who you're not. But since you're doing or venturing in the virtual assistant world, you might as well market yourself well. So whatever you put out in there, make sure that is something that you want your client to see, not something that you don't want your client to see. So let's be careful with whatever we post online, Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever social media platforms, because little do we know, our clients do background check. So they want to know who they work with. It's already a big risk for clients, especially, there's things such as like phishing, or there's some fraud or scammers around the world, not just Philippines or other countries, but it's happening everywhere. So clients, they always have that sense of hesitation in getting the kind of VA. That's why they want to get associated with other agencies who provided virtual assistant services. But if you want like direct hiring, or you just look online, then you might as well present yourself as someone really credible for a virtual assistant work, or an outsource work.
just touching on that, to kind of give a good direction on what clients want to see, because I think that that's important. You could be hitting bullseye 100%, but shooting at the wrong target, and it's not going to be helping you out. So before we move on from this, I just want to be real clear on what clients are looking for, what they want when they're getting a virtual assistant. Okay. So we're going to make an analogy here. If you were going to buy a vehicle that you're going to use for your business, you're going to buy a work truck, okay? You want to have something that is going to, one, be okay for the task that you're trying to do, okay? It's a moving truck or something like that, you need to have a certain size. It needs to be that certain size, okay? Aside from that, they want it to be dependable. They want it to not give them any drama, and just be able to get them from point A to point B. Because if it doesn't work, that's going to cost them a lot of money, okay? Because
Correct.
they're relying on that to do business. If you're doing any sort of higher paying virtual assistant job, the reason why it's higher paying is because they're making money off it, and it's an important part. They need that reliability, okay? So I can't stress how much it is, how much importance there is on really putting yourself as just a reliable, dependable, no headache. Basically, if you could make it to where they felt that you were just a robot that was going to show up on time every day and do your task and just be incredibly dependable, and they're never going to have any problems with it, it's going to be that truck that just keeps on running. That's what they want.
Or simply
So
put, deliver whatever task it is, regardless if it's like raining or whatever happens, you just deliver. That's it.
yeah. So things that you got to watch out for with social media is like the things that you want to present to your friends and your clients might be different. Okay.
Yep,
So like
it's
the
true.
digital nomad thing, like I want to go traveling all the time. That means I don't really want to be at the desk. And like as soon as I get enough money, I'm going to take off. So all that like wanderlust sort of stuff, like I want to be doing this other stuff, like keep that either on your private side or don't post that on that account, because it's like that's the exact opposite of what they want. That's going to get, it's a beautiful picture. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm sure the clients doing that same thing, they're wanting to do that also. But for their workers, they want to know that like have a reason to be at home, you have a family to support, you care about your job, you value your job, and you're going to keep your job for as long as they'll give it to you, and that you're going to be happy with it. That's what they want. If they feel that you're checking all those boxes, that's good. If it looks like there's a flight risk, if they're going to invest a bunch of training into you and you're just going to like go travel the world or go start having kids and become a stay-at-home mom or whatever it is that's going to keep you from being able to work for them for the long term, they're not into it. So watch out for that. That's the target that you want to hit: stability, dependable, no headache, no drama.
Yes, that's true. And the time that they invest on those VA and later on they would just, run away, or they can find their VA after a week or two, or let's just say after 3 months or 6 months, that's a lot of waste of time.
Hmm. Hmm. And it's a super common thing. That's what a lot of clients that come to me that want to work with me, that's after they've got burned once or twice. So it's a common
Yes.
thing. And it really, really hurts the industry as a whole for people that do that. It's just shady. Um,
And and as the operation manager for Trouble Free Employees, I'm proud to say we have a higher retention for accounts. Like when we just when COVID strike, we understand that there are some accounts that are canceling because of the situation. However, after a month or two, they come running to us because we provide the kind of service where an other VA providers doesn't. Just for example, transitioning one task to the next VA or a different VA. Most of the other virtual assistant companies, when you hire VA, you train them from scratch. But the moment when they resign, leave, or you want to switch a VA, then you need to do the same task all over again, back to square one. And that's something us trouble-free employees that we offer a service wherein we do it for free. We train them. We don't give them the headaches going back to scratch. They only do it once, and we take care for the rest of it, whether they want to switch a VA or expand their account or make a bigger team.
yeah. So you got to understand, if you're trying to do the work from home thing, that the clients have a lot of options. So you got to make sure that if you're trying to do that, you're presenting them something that's going to be on the same level that they're going to find in an office in IT Park that has a manager there that's making sure that you're working. Okay. If you're not able to work on your own and you're not able to manage your own time and keep yourself free of distractions, be able to focus, it's going to be difficult. So let's kind of use that to segue into how to keep clients. Because once you get them, you're going to want to keep them, and that's going to
Yep.
be the difference between a little money and a lot of money in this industry. If you can keep your clients happy, and you can keep them around for the long term, if you ever lose a client for any reason, it's not going to be hard to get another one. That client might even help you try and get another client because you did so well with them.
Yep.
Complete
You get
opposite is true.
referrals.
If you screw up, you're basically going on the blacklist, where people compare notes with each other. Yeah, I had that person, they were terrible. They disappeared on me after 2 days. How did they get in touch with you? I've been trying to get in touch with them to get my money back for months. Like, you know you don't want to have that kind of reputation. um, you want to have a good reputation, and what that means is that the client feels that you're honest with them, that when you say that you can do something, that they can trust that you're going to do it. If you say that you're not able to do something and you're going to try and figure it out, um, they feel that you're a responsible person, and that if you said, hey, I'm going to be able to do this job and this is the rate that I'm charging, that means that you know how to do it. If you find out halfway through that you don't know how to do part of that job, and you have to go on a Google or you have to go on a YouTube, you have to do some training to figure it out, you shouldn't be doing that on the client's dollar. You should have the integrity to know that you need to get off the clock for a minute, figure it out. You can tell the client, hey, I'm sorry, it took me a little bit longer than I thought it would. um, I didn't bill you for the extra time because, to tell you the truth, I ran into a spot where I couldn't figure it out, and I had uh, to spend some time figuring it out and training. And I wasn't working on the task. I was learning something that, to tell you the truth, I probably already should have known. That client is going to respect that so much, and you will have earned their trust with that honesty. So every time that you can, be honest with them and earn that trust, take advantage of that. And you really want them to think that you are working the whole time. You do not want them to think that you're sleeping on the clock, because people in America don't work like people in the Philippines. Okay, people in the Philippines are of a different breed, pretty hardcore work ethic. I am just really impressed by the ability of people without complaints to show up anytime, day or night, and just be ready to rock and give it 100%. That's something that's why people come to the Philippines. That's what it's all about. Filipinos work so hard, and it's like, it's not even that it costs less, it's that people here work harder. Okay, so let them know that. All right, people in America, they don't really show up in the night shift. It's not a thing. Okay, the people that do, they are sleeping. So that's why Americans think that. They don't realize that people come and it's like power hour at 2 in the morning, people just getting it done. Okay, so they don't feel judged or anything like that. It's just there's just a gap of, they don't realize how it is. I tell clients sometimes, I'm like, yeah, sometimes there's kind of like a traffic jam at, like, 8:30 at night, 9 p.m. at night, because people are on their way to work, and the clients are like,
That's
what?
true.
Huh? They just, like, it baffles them. Like, they realize that we work at night, but they don't really know that it's a thing like it is. So just let them know any way that you can. Be as responsive as possible, just like I was talking about. Let them know that you're working the whole time. You're not sleeping. You're slamming. Be as transparent as you can be with what you're doing. That's going to be the number one way to keep clients, right there. The other thing that I just can't stress enough is that you need to be honest. Okay, Americans are they people don't really speak many other languages here, so they're all native English speakers. And it's tough to lie to somebody when it's your second language and it's their first language. Like, you might think that you're being sneaky, you're not being sneaky. Totally not being sneaky. I have had so many people lie to me about, like, why they didn't show up to work or why they were late, just every excuse in the book. And the thing is I'm not the sort of person that's like, why would I engage in drama because they're lying to me right there? I'm just gonna write them off as liars, like we touched on earlier. You know, I'm gonna be like, well, that's too bad. They're a liar, and I'm gonna have to replace them and move on to, option B. So I guess I'll start putting out a hiring ad while I'm figuring this out. I'm not gonna tell the person, like, hey, I caught you lying. Most of the time, they're going to keep lying. They'll probably tell me 3 more lies before I'm done talking to them that day, and I understand every single one. So, like, don't think you're being sneaky. You're going to get caught, and it's totally not worth it, because you can really screw up a good opportunity very easily by just even coming off as, um, having that kind of dishonesty. Oh, wow. Got a big moving truck coming in next door, so sorry
Yeah, I
about the
heard
background noise.
that.
All right. So anything else on how to keep clients? You're really
Well,
in there, in the trenches with people, quite a bit. And what kind of insight do you have?
I'm sorry. I just lost my thought in there because you just said something about background noise, which is I was just thinking about how to keep their clients. So I got distracted there
Definitely
for a
true.
while.
Definitely.
So so since it's like since we were already in the background noise, so clients doesn't want or let's just say prefers to have a good working environment, whether it's virtual or like your physical or your place where you live. So imagine if you're taking phone calls and then your client would hear like 20 chickens. So that is very destructive. And they would start imagining things like, what else do they have there? So just like simple as like a car or a moving truck with that sound. So there's a big impact in there to the VA, or to those inexperienced still trying to start with the virtual assistant queries. So they don't really like, get sensitive about that. But the truth is, there's a big impact.
Yeah, there definitely is. There definitely is a big impact with that
Yeah.
stuff, and it's
So
important to just try and do what you can with it, and to to just understand a couple things. Um, the chickens are bad. Okay, those ones can be a little bit hard to avoid. Maybe it's your neighbor's chickens, and that's one thing. If you have the chicken problem, you don't be doing any customer service work, really any voice work. You're even if you speak the best English in the world, you're going to be stuck on a non-voice account because of that chicken.
that's
So
true.
figure that out. If you want to work from home, you got to realize that like you are basically running a small business for yourself, and you're competing with other businesses that are small and large, and the bar of expectation is kind of set at like a quiet office space sort of thing. You can easily replicate a like an IT park office with a nice apartment. Good uh, solid concrete wall construction, like is real common, is going to deaden sound and it'll be real quiet. Um,
Make
High
it
speed internet.
soundproof.
Yeah. Make sure that you have, your AC, and then if you have any sort of thin windows or anything, if you want to put any additional curtains or any insulation that's going to help you soundproof it, you got to be responsible for not only showing up to the job, but having the right tools for the job. And in this sort of thing, it means that you have a quiet, good work environment, and you access to good internet, um, and a good computer. The absolute killer um, is having non-English language in the background. Okay. Like, and it's hard to avoid, and it's something that like you won't even think of because you're so used to talking in Messiah, or wherever you're tuning in from, maybe something else, maybe Tagalog or whatever it is that you speak or is spoken in your home. um, Instantly what a foreigner thinks is they're going to steal my credit card. Like they're talking in code behind my back saying, all right, we're going to steal his credit card. That's what they think. Like, I hate to break it down like that, but like that, it doesn't work. So like if you're working from home and your family's there, you got to be like really militant about like, hey, this is my job, this is my money, you need to respect my zone,
Yeah.
and like you need to respect the sound and like what I'm doing. And this is EOP. This is an English only place. Okay. So
Yeah.
when you're working, you gotta have that happen, and you gotta take responsibility for it. It's not a joke. Very serious.
A gentle
Um,
version on that is that since we're working, even if you're working from home, you have to make sure that you keep the same level of professionalism when you're working in a physical office. So don't, not just like, for example, when you come to work, you got to make sure that you're presentable. You don't go to the office looking like you just got out from the shower or you're still in your pajamas. So even if you're working from home, keep that integrity. You have to be presentable always. And at the same time, you have to make sure that your environment or your background noises doesn't have those unnecessary noises or background noises, so that your client would feel that you are professional and you're really taking your job seriously. So very simple things really matters.
okay. So unless, do you have anything else about the how to keep clients before we get on to some of the paperwork tips?
Um, it's just aside from delivering the task, you really need to be consistent. When I say consistent, it's like for today you really do a lot of tasks, you're really productive. Then the next day, it's like they're gonna be thinking you're just making sandwich. So be in the same level of energy and the same level of productivity from day one up to the end of your shift or all throughout your work week. So that's how you keep your client happy, and at the same time you keep your account, or it's like the retention. And then the more productive you are, the more your client's going to trust you, and the more you're going to have a good grip in that account. Or who knows, maybe later there's a bigger chance for your account to expand and your client would want more agents, wherein you're going to be the team lead for that account.
So let's touch on that for a second. It all comes back to money. That's what it all comes down to.
That's
So
true.
the client needs the consistency. A lot of times, how we're fitting in, how our work fits in with uh, with what we're doing for clients is we're dealing with a small piece of a larger project. So they might have a set rate for something, and then the piece of it that we're doing, generally it averages, X amount of time. And maybe you were working real good for them for a while, and they're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna set the price for this based around that it takes about this amount of time because she's been working on it for 2 weeks and it's been real consistent and about that. So they set the price and they're like, cool, we're gonna make money, everything's good. And then all of a sudden, like, whatever happens, the productivity kind of falls off and you're not able to work like you were. They trusted that that was going to keep happening on a consistent basis. They made forecasts. They told other people. They probably put their word on the line in one way or another, that that was going to happen, and now it's not. Okay, so you've made that client look bad, and you might be costing them money. They might have underbid on something, and you blew it for them, and now something that they should have made money with, they're not making any money with it. And that brings us back to the beginning. How come they're working with us to make money? You make them
Yes.
lose money, don't wonder why they're not working with you anymore. Okay,
Yes.
that's what it all comes back to. So that consistency in business is super important. Can't stress that enough. um, and that being said, in the Philippines there's a different way about how things are in terms of what excuses are acceptable, what's okay. In the Philippines, typically, if it has to do with your family, people are pretty understanding about it. um, that's everyone has a family and they all kind of, have that same thing. America, it's not like that. Work is work, and Americans, like, they got money because they work hard and they put in a lot of hours and they take it serious. It's the priority. you know if it's work or church, if work calls, they're going to work, not church. A lot of people, if their family calls or their work calls, they're going to work, not helping their family. Okay, I'm not saying that's cool. I don't think that it's cool. I think that it's better to put your family first. I think that it would be nice if Americans were more understanding and, they had a work atmosphere that was a little more conducive to, valuing a work life balance or whatever you want to call it. But the fact of the matter is they don't. Okay. So don't be thinking that you're going to tell them something with, that would be a valid excuse here or whatever. You know, it's not going to work over there. They need the consistency. That's all they want. They don't
Yes.
care. Um, any of the other stuff, like, all it does is just show weakness. If you're just saying, like, it's this excuse, because the fact of the matter is, like, they wouldn't make that excuse for themselves, most likely. So why are they going to let you have the easy way when they don't give themselves that option, right?
Yep.
They're not going to put up with that. So just have a good understanding of what that is.
Yeah.
Um,
And just to add before we jump to the next discussion, basically, whether you're working in an office, at home, virtual assistant, home based, or directly employed, you just really have to keep that good work ethics, integrity. So whether your client is online or not, you really need to put in work because your client paid for it, and you should be grateful, or you should be really thankful that you have a job, because like in this situation right now, especially with this pandemic going on, you're really lucky if someone gets hired you, and then you have an opportunity to work from home. So take care of that job. that's
Yeah.
that's that's something that I really want to put out there, like even from our agents, like we always want them to appreciate the things that they have, like just like the work. So you got to take care of your work because your work is going to take care of like your bills.
Yeah. Your bills and, probably your family's bills also. So hopefully they're understanding of, what's happening and why you have to, arrange your work and prioritize your work like you do, because it benefits everybody. Um, Especially if, you're consistent with that and you do that for long enough time, you're going to see that your pay goes up. Like Elle, she's been an incredibly consistent worker. You guys, I mean, sure, her story is amazing with all the different things that she's dealt with in her life, but she's been able to still, prioritize her work and move her way up from basically the bottom to the top through her consistent effort. And it's something that, a lot of people have the potential to do and they just don't do. So don't make excuses. Just, just do what you got to do to make it work, and the rewards will be there in the end.
That's true.
So let's get to some of the more technical side of things, because there's a lot of new work from home people, a lot of new people who are trying to kind of get into the game, and they're totally screwing themselves up on some of the simple stuff, some of the more like paperwork side of stuff on kind of what's standard, what's not standard. We're going to go over kind of some basics here, and what do the clients want? Okay, in terms of paperwork, regardless of um, if you're like a small business where you have a brand, or if you're basically just working as your name, and that's what they're paying you as that. Regardless of what it is, you need to give them a proper invoice. Um, I recommend, if you can do it in whatever currency they're in versus your currency. If they're dollars, they're American, bill them in dollars. Keep it simple for them. They don't know what pesos are to dollars, and it's just like it breaks the whole. Maybe they would just pay that bill if it was dollars. Oh yeah, okay, great. Pay the bill, done. Okay, you got your money. Or it's pesos. They're like, what is this? They're on their phone. Something else happens. They never even got to look up what pesos were. They forgot to pay your bill. You just put in this whole extra step in there.
Yeah.
Plus, there's differences with currency fluctuations and different things like that. Typically, you're going to want to take those on the chin, the currency fluctuations, and make it consistent for the client, because it's the same thing like we're talking about with the time. It fits into a process that they have, and your currency fluctuation of wherever you are isn't their fault or their problem. Okay. So you need to kind of make it easy for them and consistent for them. Definitely bill in their home currency. That's what I highly recommend. So for the invoice, let's cover what's on a proper invoice, what they're getting billed for,
Yep.
okay, how much they're getting charged for it,
Hmm.
if you're including any sort of tax, which you probably should. You're going to want to have that on there, clearly stated and separated from, um, from the base price, the tax, and the total. Um, you're going to want to have your name or the name of your entity. You're going to want to have the address, the contact information. You should have the TIN number or some sort of reference number, because it is going to be submitted in a foreign country. Um, that is going to be nice for them to have. You can get away without it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Definitely better to just have it on there.
Yep.
Um, and then any sort of terms that you have. Okay. Typically, you can avoid a really lengthy contract, if you have terms for, you know, cancellation, um,
Number of hours work.
number of hours that are going to be worked, you know, if it's ongoing, if it's not ongoing, what the terms are specifically with the cancellation, if there's any sort of scope of the work,
Yep.
you know, what you're including, what you're not including. You can put that on the invoice, and then by paying that, that's basically turning into a unilateral agreement that they're agreeing to by paying that. So if you can put that all on there, that makes it real easy. So proper invoice is definitely something that you want to have. The other thing that you're gonna deal with is, in the Philippines, it's hard to get a good processor that takes credit cards. If you can deal with something that takes credit cards, or you can deal with somebody that can take credit cards on your behalf, that's going to really help you. The reason why is everything's going to electronic. If you pay something with a credit card as a business in America, you don't have to have any additional paperwork on what it was. Okay, unless you're there's a couple things where if you paid an employee directly that lives in America or whatever. But for a business expense, if it's paid, that processor has the paperwork on file with whatever the buyer is, so it can be looked up and cross-referenced, so you don't have to multiple submit everything. So if you can find out a way that you can have a credit card taken, and they can pay with a credit card, that's the most ideal way. You're basically going to bypass any sort of tax paperwork or anything like that. That's hard to do. A lot of times, like PayPal or something like that, you know, you, they're it, you might not be able to make it work. They're going to have to transfer you money in one way or
Yes.
another. Okay, so if that happens, depending on what the client is, if the client knows what's going on, they're going to ask you for a form. And I'm going to show you what it looks like here. I got it pulled up. Okay. Can you see it, Elle? The
Yes.
screen share? Okay, so this is a W8BEN. This is for an offshore contractor. Okay. So basically what that does is that's going to make it to where they have the documentation if they have a case of an audit or something like that that happens, where they need to show where that money went. They can say that they paid you, and they have the information that they need to say who you were, and then you signed it and you verified it, and that's all that they have to do. Okay, they don't. The IRS isn't really going to necessarily say that, you know, if they have reason to believe that it's false information, then it does fall on them. But as long as there's no reason to believe that any of it is false, then, you know, they're covered and the client's going to be happy. Okay. That being
So,
said, like, there, you do have your name on this piece of paperwork, and you should be doing the right thing. You should be supporting your country and your infrastructure and everything. You should be paying taxes. I, 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 I don't think that it's good for people not to pay taxes.
that's true.
You know, you should pay not more than you should, but you definitely shouldn't just completely ignore the whole system. It's going to get you into trouble eventually anyway. So it's not something that I'd recommend doing. And just know that, you know, the IRS in America knows that this money has been sent to you, and everything is electronic and gets shared, and increasingly more so. And as time goes on, if, you know, you're trying to tell them that, you know, you're going to be responsible for your taxes, and you're not being responsible for your taxes, and you're not paying stuff, it probably will catch up with you, probably sooner rather than later. So watch out for that. Your client definitely isn't going to be happy if you get dragged off to deal with some tax cases and stuff like that. You're not able to go to work. That could easily turn into just a spiraling domino effect of bad things. So, you know.
Speaking of payment processor, from a first-hand experience starting this business, the reason why most, if not, I mean, there's only a few businesses that accepts credit card payments internationally. The reason behind it is because banks would require fraud analyst something that you need to pay maintenance every month. If I remember it correctly, one of the biggest banks here in Philippines would require you 80,000 per month just to keep the fraud analyst,
Hmm.
aside from paying for the payment processor, and you need to put up a really huge amount just to sign up for a payment processor. So that alone requires a lot of money. So from a local, um, it's rare when you get a company, a VA company that has a payment processor locally. So I would say working with trouble-free employees is an edge because with Jake Barefoot as our counterpart in the United States, so it's all safe. It's all like you don't have any issues with paper trail or taxes. So that saves you a lot of headache.
Yeah, we do help people with processing and getting that whole side of it, and it can definitely make things easier for the clients. I know a lot of our clients that we work with, um, they're really they feel more comfortable giving their money to me, um, versus sending it offshore to somebody that they've never met before and that they wouldn't know where to find if they wanted to. Um, so it's just one thing to think about with that. That's definitely another option that just makes things way easier. You can have all your taxes handled. You can have all the transfers handled. You can make it easier for the client. You can make it easier for you. So that's definitely an option, something to think about. So, basically you got to figure out what you're kind of trying to go for, but it should be kind of a combination of the least taxable income that's legitimate, crossed with, the least amount of hassle. A lot of times you could, give yourself a lot more hassle and save a little bit more money. Or you could kind of minimize the hassle and pay a little bit for it, whatever it is. It's different for different people. Everyone values their time differently. So you got to make that own decision for yourself. So, anyway, I think, we've hopefully, if you've made it through this far, you've taken some notes and gotten some value from this. Um, we are going to be opening up some of the trainings that we have for our internal employees in our company. We're going to make some of those available to help some of you guys have what you need to be able to succeed. So if you're on our website and you see one of the buttons open up to be able to get additional info on that, definitely recommend clicking on that. If not, if you're looking at this on YouTube or something like that, look for the link in the description to be able to get more information on where to find that stuff, because the training, the basic information, the kind of foundational sort of stuff, it's going to be a lot better for you if you can figure that stuff out without burning through a couple accounts in the process. Because a lot of people will, you know, try and just kind of run and gun with their learning on what they're doing, and they might end up making a couple mistakes that are avoidable, that cost them some good accounts, and all the unnecessary hardships that come along with that. So hopefully it's been valuable. Thanks for taking the time to jump on this meeting with me, Elle. And anything else
It's
before we
always a
go?
pleasure, Jake. Yes, I'm pretty sure this would help a lot of clients and aspiring VAs out there on what they need to know, and especially for clients like who wants to venture on having a virtual assistant. So um, to save them from headaches, it's best to know where they're heading and the things that they need to consider before getting a VA. And also on the VA side, they can get themselves prepared, get ready on the things that they needed so that they won't miss opportunities. Like sometimes when you have a really good client, but just because you don't have the right specs for your computers or you don't have the good work environment, then you're going to lose that client. So might as well get ready, and I'm pretty sure if they reach this far, then they would really know where to start and what are the things that they needed to equip themselves and start their virtual assistant experience. So that's it.
All right. Well, good luck, everyone. Thank you so much, Elle, and we'll be talking soon.
You're welcome, Jake. So just click the button below to sign up for additional training. And right now it's still for free.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.